If you like what I do, consider joining my channel or donating to my coffee. Links in the description. Welcome back to my Metroidvania demo impression series, where I give my impression on Metroidvania demos, and it's a series. Today's game is Before I Go, a brand new Metroidvania developed by one person, releasing on, wait for it, April 13th, 2026. And it's coming out on Steam, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and Switch. Before I Go is a bleak, surreal Metroidvania where you play as the last untouched spark of childhood innocence, wandering a world collapsing under an unnamed affliction. It's an allegorical descent into fear, grief, and acceptance, a journey where every step feels like peeling back another layer of a fading reality. But you don't want to hear any of that. You want to hear this. Pew, 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 pew. That's right, boys. We got ourselves a run-and gunner. And with its old-school difficulty and precision platforming, it looks like we're in for one heck of a ride. As is with most releases, the first thing you notice is the presentation. And Before I Go's presentation is pretty cool. It reminds me a lot of Grime with its 2.5D approach, stone-like environments, and general abstractness. You're also just dropped into this world with zero context and meet some pretty bizarre NPCs. The graphics overall are very pleasing to my eyeballs, and I dug the creepy atmosphere. Before I Go's gameplay is downright fantastic. I didn't expect it to lean into a run-and-gun style, but I'm thrilled that it did. There's something strangely comforting about carrying a blaster through alien landscapes. A mix of warm nostalgia and that subtle sense of security you get from nuking jabronis from a distance. And as long as you keep your head about and follow the tried and true rule of ABS, always be shooting, you'll be fine as far as combat is concerned. Here's some footage of a boss fight. He was fun and engaging, a good tutorial boss to test your twitchiness and spatial awareness. I'm always a fan of bosses dying as fast as you can press a button. Now, combat isn't what you have to worry about in Before I Go, just ABS and you'll be good. No, what's most likely going to get you is the platforming. Some of these segments are absolutely diabolical. Who knew lasers could be so deadly? Thankfully, your little dude controls like a dream. He's got great momentum, he moves elegantly in the air, and the responsiveness of his jumps are tight as heck. It's cliche to say, but if you die in this game, you know it was your fault. No blaming the controls on this one. You're just gonna have to stop sucking, I guess. Once you unlock the wall jump, platforming gets super insane. I swear, some of these sequences remind me of the stuff I'd make on Super Mario Maker because I love wall jumping so much. So, obviously, I loved Before I Go's take on my Mario Maker levels. The game totes itself as being difficult, and it ain't kidding. Some of these sequences took me quite a few tries to get past, not necessarily because they were too difficult, but because you have to redo the same sections every time you fail. There's a definite old school mentality here. I'm not saying it's good or bad, I'm just saying it is, and while I dig the punishment myself, it may frustrate others. Obviously, you'll have to be the judge on what you can tolerate. I didn't think it was too tough, but it ain't easy. And truthfully, I like that my platforming as long as the controls are tight, and Before I Go's controls are tight. Let's talk about the checkpoints just for a second, because they're a little more convoluted than I'd like. Off the top of my head, I think there are like 3 or 4 different checkpoint types, and only one of those types let you fast travel between them. One lets you upgrade your character using the currency you collect by dusting enemies, which I love to see. And another checkpoint, you need to spend very limited currency to even unlock, which I do not love to see. The game even tells you to spend this currency wisely because it's less common. You could also spend this currency at another checkpoint type that temporarily increases your max HP. It's optional, and I hate it. I'm just the kind of gamer who will not engage with your system if it's limited by a resource. Obviously, I don't know how limited these red crystals are, but the fact that the game says they're limited and then gives you checkpoints that require them, checkpoints that are temporary, by the way, it just doesn't sit right with me. And that's going to cover my coverage of Before I Go for now. Overall, I liked the game. Its visuals are fantastic, its atmosphere is intriguing, running and gunning is always a blast, tish, and the platforming has some teeth. The game's old school sensibilities rear its head with how the game's not afraid to make you redo entire sections over and over until you've become a master, and this may frustrate people, or it will delight people like me who love a good platforming challenge. I am not a fan of all the checkpoint types. I'd rather just have a single checkpoint type that consolidates what all the checkpoints do, but I haven't played the full release, so I can't say if there's a great reason or not as to why the dev uses so many checkpoint types. And of course, the limited currency that unlocks temporary perks gives me the ick. But all that stuff is optional, so I won't hold it against the game. Have any of you played Before I Go's demo? If so, what'd you think? Sound off in the comments. And while you're there, hit like, subscribe, and share. If not for me, then for the single dev who made this game. I'm sure they'd appreciate more eyeballs on their project. Thanks for watching. Later, nerds.